Let's start with a question that everybody has been asking nonstop over the past year. Why are my competitors showing up in AI search and not me? Same category, same industry, and yet content that I know is worse than mine is consistently getting cited while I'm nowhere to be seen. See, those clicks that you lost, they're never coming back. So visibility now is everything. And in this case, showing up is only half the battle. Even if you are being cited, the goal isn't simply to win the click back. Many generative answers resolve your questions before a visit even happens. The real shift now is influence, being present in the right place at the right moment. And that's why generative engine optimization, or GEO, or answer engine optimization, or AEO, isn't just another SEO tactic. It's a fundamental change in how visibility and relevance are created. So let's talk about why AI prefers one source over another and what you can do to increase your chances of being seen in AI search. Unlike traditional search, where a single query would return a neat page with 10 blue links, generative engines act as a force multiplier, running multiple searches at once and then combining those signals to produce one cohesive answer. Generative engines are becoming the first touch point for your brand, so optimizing for visibility should now be the primary goal of every marketing team. In fact, AI-generated search results are accounting for about 20% of all searches, and that's only going to grow. Most generative engines are looking at a similar cluster of signals. First, they're looking at credibility and trust. AI search platforms tend to cite authoritative sources with high domain authority that show considerable levels of expertise. This is otherwise known as EAD: experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. But it's not just about what you claim on your own site or how you talk about yourself. It's about independent validation across the web from credible sources like thought leaders, academic institutions, independent publications, and even reputable news outlets. See, LLMs can easily parse where you're being mentioned, how you're being mentioned, and who's mentioning you to determine trustworthiness. The second bucket is relevance and specificity. How directly and how completely does your brand address what your users actually want to know? Generative engines favor deep, focused explanations over vague marketing language or surface-level summaries. So those days of throwing keywords here, internal links there, metadata here, a heading there, they're not as important anymore. You need to optimize for more than just keywords. You need to optimize for longer, more complex prompts that go far beyond simple keywords and that actually reflect how your users are interacting with AI search. Next up, we have freshness. AI has a recency bias. As LLMs are constantly being trained on new information, you're the source they're being trained on when it comes to content that's relevant to your industry, or at least that's what the goal should be, right? Models prefer current, accurate, recently validated content. Even strong pages lose visibility over time if they stop evolving. And finally, we have structure and AI readability. If you've been practicing basic SEO hygiene for the last 10 years, this should all sound pretty familiar. AI favors well-organized pages with clear headings, appropriate schema, logical architecture, and modular content. Again, for SEOs, should sound pretty familiar, right? But the difference now is AI readability. Fragmented content environments create duplication, inconsistency, and weak entity signals, which makes it harder for AI to trust or reuse what it finds. So if your experience is hard to interpret, it's not an AI problem, it's a you problem. So what's working now? Publishing more content, refining your technical SEO, Paying websites to mention your brand? Hiring an army of marketers to flood Reddit with mentions of your brand? No, the teams that are gaining visibility in generative search are changing how they operate. First, they build real reference-level expertise. How many times have you seen a thought leader basically telling you that the answer to all your problems is just to do it better, to create better content? That's not really helpful, right? So, actual leaders are developing deep knowledge of an industry by analyzing how questions expand across search and AI. They're looking at fan-out queries, related prompts, and different ways engines categorize intent. And then they add something original, experience-driven perspective, and a distinct point of view. Because in generative discovery, expertise is measured by whether your knowledge is deep, structured, and uniquely useful enough to reference. Second, they're building authority by creating conversation and deliberately amplifying it. Leading teams prioritize content that sparks engagement and elicits insights. They're listening to their customers, their audience, their users, and they're understanding their pain points. They're monitoring online communities where these people congregate to understand what's going on beneath the surface. Third, they measure visibility differently. Not just through traffic, not just through rankings, but through citation and visibility footprints, where and how their brand appears inside AI-generated answers. That means tracking which prompts actually lead to conversations with either AI search platforms or with their own teams, which pages or sources AI systems reuse, or how they're being referenced and where visibility is quietly emerging or disappearing over time. Because in generative discovery, influence shows up inside the answer itself way before a visit even happens. And finally, they're treating GEO as a continuous learning system. Marketers are viewing GEO through the lens of experimentation. AI answers evolve constantly. Sources shift, citations appear, then they disappear, then they reappear, and re-rank in ways that traditional dashboards just can't capture. So leading teams continuously refresh content, they monitor how citation visibility moves, and they iterate experiences deliberately, turning GEO from a one-time optimization into an ongoing operational discipline. So if you remember nothing else from this video, remember this one thing. AI search prioritizes fresh, experience-driven perspectives from trustworthy sources. Content that's credible, relevant, informative, structured, and trustworthy will give you the best chance of gaining visibility in AI search platforms. So focus on shaping the narrative instead of trying to latch onto one, and build a system that prioritizes this. If generative search visibility is becoming a priority for your team, then check out the description in the link below to learn more about how structured content systems can improve AI visibility across your digital experience. Thank you.